Welcome to the Connected Enterprise Podcast. This is Carl Lewis, your host from Vision33, and my guest today is Alex Rooney from Vision33. It was a thought of mine that, in about 2003 is when I first heard of Vision33 because they entered the Business One channel. It's been 20 years. So today I wanted to talk to Alex, just look back and look forward. So Alex, before we get started, just tell us a little bit about Alex Rooney and what in particular you do at Vision33.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Carl. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on. I like your podcast voice. It's very soothing and relaxing. So that's a good start. Yeah. So my day to day at Vision33 is I specifically focus most of my time on our U.S. operations, which is still the majority of our revenue and profits, and so it's really our biggest sort of area of focus. But I also spend a lot of time on the executive team, focus on the global areas of the business, the strategy, and those sorts of things, and then also on the board as well. So multifaceted, but day to day, it's definitely operations, sales and operations for all of our U.S. Business from coast to coast.
It's a big job in a lot of ways, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned, Alex, it was in 2003 when I first heard of Vision33. And then in 2009, I went to work for Vision33 6 years later. When I joined Vision33, when we combined the customers that came from my company and came from Vision33 together, that we had about 140 customers. About 3 days ago, I heard somebody say that we had invoiced 1,400 customers in 2022. So that is a crazy amount of growth in that period of time. So I was wondering, from your perspective, if you could give us what are the 5 top things you think have really led to that kind of growth over the last 20 years?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, I guess I have to kind of sit back and think it has been 20 years. That's significant. And 2003, early days indeed. We had barely heard of ourselves at that point when you heard of us in 2003. As you know, SAP had just introduced Business One to the American market. So we were certainly all on that early train. It's interesting too, though, you talk about reflecting on how we got here and the top 5 things, and I'll throw out a few things, but timing is one of them. And I'll tell you why I say timing is that in 2003, we were a going concern. We were a small company, very small, and I don't know, I think we were maybe 15, 17 employees, something like that. And one of our customers, which was one of our biggest customers in America at the time, was Microsoft. And Microsoft became our customer because they acquired the group of companies into their business solutions piece, which was Solomon, Great Plains, and they had gone through a few acquisitions on that side. So by nature of those acquisitions, I found myself suddenly with Microsoft as a customer. So you can imagine that's a pretty big deal for a small company like us. And we were doing things like we were doing general some development QA, very technically centric, and that's a big part of our DNA and a big part of who we are today. But my customer, in a funny way, I had developed a really good relationship with my particular point of contact. I was the sales guy and the project manager and chief cook and bottle washer and all those things. But my customer, who was part of Microsoft Business Solutions, pulled me aside one day and said, hey, Alex, I know you're interested in getting into the ERP space, because I had talked to them about being a Microsoft partner. And he basically said, I heard through the grapevine that SAP is bringing a new product to market called SAP Business One. So he said, you should take a look at that. So he basically steered me away to a competitor. In a funny sort of way, but and I think this was a mentor of ours and an early investor when we took it on. So the timing, I think, back to the point was key. If I hadn't have been in that place and time and with that sort of relationship, then maybe we wouldn't have joined up with the SAP channel and started being a Business One partner. So that's one thing. I think once we did, we set upon ourselves, we threw ourselves at our work, and we said, we're just going to focus on this, and we want to be, we want to be a meaningful, relevant partner. And we really don't know much about the business at this point in time, but we learned it. We threw ourselves at it. We weren't afraid to make mistakes. And I think over time, we obviously got better and better and better, to the point where that focus grew to a determination to be one of the top partners in the world. And that was a goal. And to do that, we had to be a very sales-driven organization, and we had to really be accountable to ourselves and measure metrics every step of the way, and never take our eye off the prize. So, and I'm proud to say that we did achieve that. And there was, I think, 3 years running, we were the #1 partner in the world in the SAP channel, so globally. So I'm really proud of that. That's probably one thing I definitely want to say is focus. The other thing too, Carl, is risk tolerance. And I say that because, every day was a risk, and we were never afraid to invest. I think we really reinvested constantly in the business, as we do today. We're really always trying to deploy corporate capital in the best ways to grow and secure the future of the business. So, and you were around for some of those early risk days. I'll wind the clock ahead to 07, 08, 09, when the Great Recession, and really from a financial perspective, the U.S. economy in particular was in a really rough spot, and businesses were not spending. They weren't buying. We really had a few rough years in those early days around that, but we made a conscious, calculated decision back then to make bigger bets. And as opposed to tucking, we said we can tuck our horns in and just try to survive, or we can come out swinging. And during that period, that launched a spree of acquisitions of other partners, and who were probably making similar decisions themselves. So it was a very opportune time from an acquisition perspective. Company valuations during that period weren't very high at all. So it was an opportunity for us to take everything we had and get some critical mass together. And when the economy turns around, as it always does in America, and eventually you come out, and we came out bigger, stronger, and we had some serious critical mass coming into 2010, 2011 that really set us apart from our peers. So, it's that risk tolerance piece, and really being able to take on that risk and accept that risk. So, and a lot of credit to the business we had going in Canada at the time, which was definitely floated us and helped us weather the bad times there in America. So the other thing I'd probably say is leadership and just relationships. So we've got, our CEO, Tony Whalen, who's a fantastic leader and brilliant operations, also has a very keen sensitivity to how important sales are to drive the organization. Yeah. But very talented, self-taught CFO, and just all around really, really even, steady-keeled, fantastic guy, and has done a great job from a leadership perspective. So I'm fortunate to have him as my business partner and friend. I'll give a lot of credit there. And the relationship. So I've spent a lot of my time over the years just with the relationships with SAP and fostering and nurturing those. And, we're all in it to grow the business, make money. Everyone's got their numbers to hit, but you can really enjoy it and have fun with those business relationships, and they can be very satisfying, and everyone can accomplish their goals. And when opportunity comes knocking, then when those relationships are strong, then it's really valuable to help, whether it be the next new deal, some big, large enterprise customer, or just if you need a helping hand from SAP perspective. And so I think a lot of the relationships globally over the years have really been an area of focus for us that's helped a lot. And other than that, try and create a great company that's fun to work at, treat your employees with respect and professionalism. And, we wouldn't be anywhere without all of the great people we have in the organization. So I think that's been a contributor to us, and just try and be a good quality company to work for. And so, yeah.
It's great to kind of get your perspective on that, Alex, because I think I could ask, 5 or 6 other key people in the Vision 33, and they would all sort of look at that a little differently.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So I think, but I think your perspective, from a leadership standpoint is really good. So looking back in 2003, basically, and for maybe, approximately the next 15 years, there was pretty much 100% dedication to SAP Business One, right? We had kind of, one thing in our suitcase, but things have changed, right? And we've added a lot of new things, a lot of new products. Talk to us a little bit about, what that sort of collection looks like today, comparison to.
Yeah. I will point out, Carl, too, that since the early days and even pre-Business One, there's been a piece of the business that still exists today, and we call that enterprise and e-government. But we have for a long time had a sort of consulting practice where we dealt with government and some large enterprise that were product agnostic. So that still exists today. And without that practice, that gave us the seeds to invest in our foray into the ERP world. But you're right. I mean, since from 2003 onwards, for a long time, came to ERP, Vision 33 was Business One, and Business One was Vision 33. It was synonymous. We've had some of our own products in there from those early days, but I think a big shift in the fairly recent past. So when you think about ERP, there's Business One, and then we took on the SAP Business by Design product, native cloud product for small to mid-market too by SAP. We took that on. We had some stops and starts with that over the years, as you well know, but we had the last few years, we've had a vibrant practice. We've done a significant acquisition in that space last year. So we had that product. And then on the SAP side now, this year in 2023, we're launching into SAP's flagship, born in the cloud, it's called SAP S/4HANA Public Edition. So a multi-tenant offering based on S/4HANA cloud technology, and really designed to kind of get down in some lower spaces. So we're really thrilled and excited to be getting on board with that. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to take a lot of investment. So we're working towards a certification, near-term certification, to really start to sell that. So when you think about it, then we'll have, from a channel and a partner perspective, we'll have all 3 products in our bag. We'll have Business One, we'll have By Design, and we'll have S4 Public. So I think that is significant, and it's a very different world for Vision 33 from where we were 5 years ago. On top of that, we've had a legacy Sage practice in-house for 20 plus years as well. But 2 to 3 years ago, we piloted Sage's flagship product called Intact, and and last year we rolled that out in all our geographies. So that's the 4th ERP product that we sell to, Sage Intact flagship from Sage. So it's a great product, and where it fits really well. It's a nice complement to Business One. There's not a whole lot of overlap on that side, and we'll look to great things and growth from that too. And I'll mention too that these products are offered and overlap into all of our major geographies, which is not only the US, but Canada and the UK too, which is kind of where we've landed geographical wise over the years. And I think that's where we'll stay for the short term anyway. We've got enough on our plate now from that perspective. So that's the ERP product set. But then there's also, last year we started a human capital management practice as well. So there's 2 products in that bag. One that's kind of small to medium, called Bamboo HR. It's an American publisher, great complement for a lot of our ERP customers, or standalone. And then there's Success Factors, which is the mid to large enterprise, which we as Vision 33 run ourselves. So now we have a full human capital management to complement and overlay all of the markets that we serve for ERP too. And then the final product set is our own Vision 33 intellectual property, one of which is right here above my shoulder. If you look above my shoulder. So Saltbox, that's our flagship product. It's an integration platform as a service. We're really putting a lot of investment in that. It's a nice complement to the SAP ecosystem, but it's also something that exists on its own, and we sell through a channel too. And our goal as an organization is to have Saltbox in the Magic Quadrant by 2025 as Gartner. So we need 900 customers to do that. We got 300 today, so 600 to go.
Yeah, well, that's 300 in like 2 years, though, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good progress.
Not bad. Yeah, not bad. And then, and let's not forget some of the other products in our portfolio as well. Our portal offerings, iDocuments, which is a workflow and collaboration around expenses and payment process. So really excited about that product. And our portal solutions, customer portal, employee portal, and our SPS offering around EDIs. So we've got our ERP stack, we've got our human capital management stack, and we've got our own Vision 33 IP to complement that. So a lot of individual products. I have a nice dashboard here in front of me on my other screen to show all our sales and metrics and widgets across all the regions. But yeah, it's a very different dynamic from a sales perspective. When 10 years ago plus, we were just selling on-premise B1, and they mail you a CD and off you go to your implementation. So
exactly. You know, I know you're not forgetting it, but the cloud came along during that period of time, really kind of changed things as well. So we now have a fully kind of operational, cloud part of the business.
Yep. So about 7 years ago, the team from AWS flew down to our Irvine office, and we're pitching their infrastructure. And we adopted it. We've been an AWS partner ever since. And I'll say that that's been fantastic growth too, because it allows us to support our customers better. It gets rid of the headache of IT for our customers. And when you think about it today, why would you deploy in any other mechanism other than cloud infrastructure? And that's a very important complement to the product set. It's not our product, but certainly allows us to have a better overall offering for our customers and to serve them better. And it's a strong partnership for us, and it'll continue to be important. It's really relevant for the B1 world, not so relevant for by design as for Intact.
Right. So the suitcase, the B1 suitcase now for Vision 33 is full with other stuff also.
It is. I can't check it on as baggage anymore. I got to check it in. The suitcase is too big.
Too much.
It's not carry on anymore.
Hey, you talked about, some of the geographical stuff. When I joined Vision 33, I was like the second acquisition. Maybe there were more, but I remember it as being the second. There was a small company in Utah.
Correct.
And then so we didn't really have a location in Utah per se. We had an employee or two, and we had an office in Portland. We had an office in Irvine, of course. By the end of 2010, I think we had two more, like Texas, San Francisco, and the headquarters. So we had 5 offices. But the pandemic and other things have really changed sort of how you view geography and reach and all of that. What's kind of happened through the years? Where are we now, and how is Vision 33 sort of reaching out, spreading our reach out in the world?
We've always had our global headquarters in my hometown is St. John's, Newfoundland in Canada, on the east coast of Canada. So we've always had our offices there. But yeah, you're right. As we grew and expanded across our primary geographies, North America and the UK, we opened up offices in key metropolitan areas. The thinking, and this is all pre-pandemic thinking, but the thinking is that, a lot of the customers we serve small, medium, and large, but especially if you're talking small to medium, they want local relationships. They want to deal with people who have geographic similarities, cultural similarities. It's just easier, I think, to be a good partner and to the customers when you have those geographies. So we didn't have this model where we have this one big office and try and serve everyone in the country. We had a lot. And in fact, at our peak pre-pandemic, we had 21 offices Yeah, coast to coast on in the U.S., east, west, north, south, and everywhere in between that was meaningful. And then on the Canadian side too, from Newfoundland to all the way over to Vancouver. And then two key locations in the UK, London and Manchester. So that was 21 offices and I think 400 or so people. Now, post-pandemic, we shuttered some offices, leases came up, we didn't reopen, we downsized. I think today we're roughly 7, as opposed to 21. So big shedding of the footprint. I think some of the numbers I saw, we were about 90% in an office, 10% remote, I think, at our office peak. And now that's kind of flipped on its head. We're probably 20% in an office, 80% remote. Present company included, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's my belief that it's actually allowed us from a staff perspective to spread out even farther from a geography perspective.
Yeah. I think there's an attraction for recruiting talent there when you can actually, when it doesn't matter that you're not in a big city and you can't run into an office. I think the other piece is that we can have cross-border elements, especially in North America, that's important. But you can tap into maybe some centers that we didn't before. But on the flip side of that, Carl, is that everyone has that advantage now. And so, everyone's kind of chasing the same talent in different areas. And I will say, too, that in some areas, like in Atlantic Canada, for example, it opened in areas where your employment opportunities might have been more limited. Now the whole world is opened up to you. So that kind of works against you. But, you just got to kind of deal with the reality of the situation and work within the constraints of it. And at the end of the day, you still got to be a good company to work for. You got to treat your people well. You got to treat them with respect and be professional and make a great place to work. And then, that's, if you do that, then you've done all you can do to keep employees interested and engaged.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in 2010, it was your idea. I moved to Irvine for about 4.5 years, and the primary reason was to help start our total care program.
Yeah.
In those days, there were 3 of us, myself, Dean Garrison, and our good buddy Bob Wergen, who, by the way, retired and moved to Oregon.
Okay, I thought it was Arizona. Arizona.
He left Arizona and moved to Oregon.
Okay.
So I stay in touch with him. But
funny.
So there were 3. Now, I asked Dean Garrison about 2 or 3 weeks ago how many people were kind of under this, total care umbrella, and he gave me the number 46.
Yep.
That is 1,533% growth. Always got to put that 33 on it, right?
Yeah.
Over the last basically 13 years, right?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. But I mean, of all the things that I'm proud of being a part of at Vision 33, that's certainly one of them. And I know that, for you and the way that we take care of customers, talk about a little bit about how important, total care has always been in your mind and how, the fruition of that today and where it's going in the future.
Yeah. So if you think about back in 2010, we always had the minute you have one customer, you have to have a support offering. So, but at what point does it make sense to have a dedicated team to do that as opposed to your consulting team kind of doing double duty? And I think, that's what we did, and that works for a while, but it doesn't scale. So that was sort of that pivotal moment when, and I know it was a big ask for you at the time, and you rose to the occasion and you came down and had a Southern California adventure.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and I think Dean's numbers are pretty close to being correct. I just did a quick check on Success Factors, so
he said he's got an open head count for about 5, but
it changes, of course, all the time. But and as the customer base grows, the consultant, the support offering grows. Did I ever tell you the story on how we came up with the name Total Care?
You told me, but you should tell it again.
Okay. it's not, I mean, it's not this eureka moment or anything, but I think we were traveling around as we did a lot back in those days, always on an airplane. And I remember, we can't just call it support. We got to brand it a little bit and have it as an offering so customers can have a relationship with it. And it's easy for the sales team to position it and create this sort of brand awareness around the support team. And I was boarding a plane, and there was a lady ahead of me that had one of those little wheelie bags, and on it, for some reason, I have no idea what it was or what the company was, or like it just said Total Care. All right. So, and I went, geez, that's it. That's a great name. Total Care. So it was just someone had a little branding on a piece of luggage on one of my trips. So I'll take that as me coming up with the name, but that's the genesis of it, basically. So yeah, the team has expanded a lot, and as you think about, I mean, the product set has expanded a lot, and the offering has expanded a lot, and the global nature of our customers, even though we talk about core anchor geographies like the US and Canada and the UK, the reality is we have customers that are in 100+ countries.
Yeah.
And so our sort of positioning around customers is, we'll work with any customer that has an HQ in Canada, the US, or the UK. We're not going to be out chasing new projects in countries we don't really have a presence in. But with the advent of cloud infrastructure and the global relationships we have with SAP and other partners, we can take on and manage and deploy a project all over the world, and we've done that successfully, many times. But that comes with its support obligations. So part of the reason why those numbers are big is that we have, for example, when we support our cloud infrastructure, that's 24/7, right? Our original Total Care mandate was just business hours. We didn't have 24/7. So we have that. We have a team in India. We have some resources in Argentina. And we have a few scattered in countries outside our anchor geographies too, to kind of close that gap for 24/7. But that drives the numbers up. We obviously have a lot more customer support, so that drives those numbers up as well. And we just got to be there for our customers on all the time zones during their business hours. So that's really how that's expanded. It's really geographies, offering, and time zones, and the 24/7 nature of the business.
Yeah. Well, Alex, we've got about 5 minutes, but this last question is really important. It's something to me. I started my 15th year with Vision33 this January, just basically yesterday was the last day of January, right?
Yeah.
So I'm entering the 15th year now.
Wow.
It's been the best decision I could have made for my whole career, for sure. I've enjoyed it a lot. My family and I have benefited from being a part of Vision33. And it's, like you said, it's more than about the paycheck and all those things. There's been a lot of fun. I've always felt like I was working for a friend when I was working for you.
Yeah.
That culture is really, really important to being successful, right? I attribute a lot of that to you. What are you going to do for the next 15 years to make sure that culture that's really powerful keeps being built?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that, Carl. It's it's difficult. It's difficult, especially since I don't get on airplanes nearly as much as I used to. So, I used to pride myself in knowing everyone personally and have met everyone personally, especially for the American region, which is where, again, I spend my day to day. So, it's a challenge. I'm a big proponent of a lot of video calls face to face, so little things like regular touch base with the team, always have your cameras on. We had this sort of mantra, more phones, more faces, get up from behind your email, right? Use the technology and leverage the tools we have. Continue to really, treat people as you would like to be treated yourself, and the culture of respect and professionalism, but a call to a higher standard to be better each day, and to continue our growth mandate. I came across a McKinsey study last week, which talked about the firm of the future. So they talked about this, scale and intimacy. So those two components. So usually they're conflicting, but you got to find a way to balance the scale and the intimacy as you grow. And I know it's possible, and I know we'll strive to do that. Little things too, like we'll survey the employees globally, and there's all pretty much 500 people now. So you collect those, you try and put sample sets together of consensus opinions on things we can do to improve the experience, and then action them. Action the feedback on this pulse survey we talk about, and those are all little intimate details that buy you goodwill, like balancing things like what's our work from remote work policy, what are policies around leave, maternity leave, vacations, things like that. What can we do to be a better overall company for personal wellness? So I think we're cognizant, and we'll always have that as an important factor in the organization. And you got to have a good beeline on what everyone's thinking, and try and recognize trends and act on them.
Well, from my perspective, you've done a great job, and it's been fun to be there, but it's also been, as I said, enjoyable just from the cultural perspective. And it's a place you want to work once you start working there. And you feel good about. Well, Alex, thanks for spending these few minutes with us. It's good to hear you look back.
It's fun. I don't. Maybe we should tell our story more often, but it's nice to look back and realize, we've come a long way. I think there's many. The upside, though, in a funny way, Carl, is I think we're on the cusp of some of our greatest years ever. So it's still very exciting, and as long as we adapt and recognize the industry trends and adapt and capitalize on them and do the best job we can to help steer our customers in those directions too, then we'll be fine. So let's check back in 10 years, shall we?
Well, I'll try to be here for that. I was just thinking in the back of my mind, all of our kids are grown up now, for sure. For sure. So, well, my buddy, take care. And to everybody out there, till we talk to you again, stay connected.
All right. Thanks, Carl. Bye-bye.